Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Retrospection Chats episode. We are on episode 2 featuring maybe what some may call the infamous Invite player, RGL Admin, Walrex, but I pulled in one of his friends to interview him, which is Umps. We started off on episode 1 on our channel. If you want to go check that out, that is with the caster TC Mono. You can go check that out on our YouTube channel. I think it's like somewhere like about a week ago from this recording. But anyways, I'll let you take it away.
Of course. Hello, everyone. My name is People call me Boone. Anything goes. Anything goes. And right here, I have my good friend Walrex that I know for 6 or 7 years now, right?
Sounds about right.
So Walrex, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Infamous? Not sure I would describe myself as infamous.
Maybe I don't know.
Though there were claims made against my adminning, which I do not agree with. I was a GO admin. Me
Well,
personally thinks that, but
I do have some questions about your admin, but
Oh,
before that, let's start from the top, right?
Word.
So Walrex, before TF2 come, before anything, you were TF2 jumping, right?
Yeah.
What made you get into TF2 jumping?
The YouTube videos. So the lore of how a man begins his TF2 career is as any TF2 player back in 2012. All right, funny coincidence, or I'll give you the whole bit.
Sure.
So I started playing TF2 because it was like 2011, and I got an Xbox. And I wanted an Xbox because Skyrim came out. And everybody's like, get Skyrim. And I got a shit ton of Skyrim. But, I'm a kid in 2011, like, I don't know, 14 or something. How old? In 2011. 13? I don't know, 13
math is
maybe.
hard. Yeah, math is hard.
13, 14, something like
Sure,
that.
give or take.
And my parents get this Xbox, and they got like a package deal. And the Xbox came with, can you guess what it came with?
TF2, the orange box?
Yes, the orange box. So I started playing TF2 on this fucking, because I was got like 30 days of free Xbox Live. Playing TF2 on the fucking orange box. And this is in 2011, so this is like way past the prime of Xbox orange box. Like there are like maybe 2 servers of like 24 people running at any given time.
I mean, maybe. I would say TF2 and the orange box might be one of the most depressing TF2 versions out there. Like it's that I saw videos. It's just so depressing. Pyro cannot air blast. There's no hats and all that stuff. It was actually depressing, but go on.
But yeah, so it was I know it was like my first real like time playing like it's not even about like an FPS, just playing like a big like multiplayer game where you're really interacting with people outside of like like RuneScape, you don't really talk to people in that game. But yeah, so it's just like I just had so much fun, and then sometime like a year later, I finally got my own computer. I was playing on like a mini Macintosh. Anybody remembers those tiny little Mac computers? I do, and I download. And the reason I'm setting this up is because I just see like, oh, TF2 is free on Steam, and because I think it became free that summer, like that year, and it was just like total coincidence that the moment I became aware of it and wanted to get it, it became free. And I definitely would have not gotten into it if it wasn't free, because I was a kid and that was my thing. But yeah, so I got into it 2012 playing little free games, and so the story there is I start playing TF2 and I find a Style 2 Fort server.
Okay.
And then I'm just out there chilling, vibing in Skyle 2 Fort, get really into Spy. I'm doing my jump stab, Matador stab practice, stabby, reviewing this, that. And at some point I find these TF2 jumping videos on YouTube. Pretty much all of the like jump compilations by the Lord were fucking, pardon my language, really good. I did that one out.
That's part of my language, part of my French. They were really good. Yeah.
Yeah, the Lord like jump movies, and then also specifically Rain and Wonderland. They had like at least from the outside looking in, they had like a rivalry going on, or just like they just seemed to be the 2 best jumpers at the time, from an outsider's point of view, and they're also the people getting all their runs published. Like from what I saw, they were like the first people doing speed runs, at least because I want to say that this like preceded skills rank, which preceded Tempest. And so the only way like speedrunning could even be recorded would just be posting YouTube videos. And like speedrunning wasn't even really a thing. It was just about getting flawless runs because people were so bad at rocket jumping that just completing a map without failing was absolutely incredibly impressive. So yeah, no, I saw those videos and I was like, this is awesome. And then I began my journey
And then you began your journey as a jumper man, right?
for many years.
For many years. I think I talked to you about this before, but there's some controversy in one of your videos. Actually, the one of your only videos on jumping and the jumping community. It's this video actually. Jump of the week, number 67, Walrex and Jump Broke Beta. Now, that video is almost 10 years old.
That's crazy.
That is
That is
crazy.
crazy.
That is crazy. Jump of the week 67, almost 10 years old. And you were telling me how when this video got posted, you kind of got like
I got flamed.
you
I
got
got
flamed. You
flamed
got
really
flamed.
hard. And all right, so this is
And yeah,
actually a
explain
fun.
what happened. What happened there? What
This
happened?
is funny. All right, this is actually controversial. Okay, so here's a few things. So this shit came out. Pardon my. Okay, I'm gonna swear throughout this interview. I apologize.
Don't worry.
But this came out in
Mhm.
2014.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
I got like a year under my belt jumping. I'm like, I'm getting pretty decent, but I'm still, it's like context is everything. Like by today's standards, all of this is garbage. But like at the time, it wasn't that bad. And like my biggest point of reference for this is that people look at this video and they're like, 2 edge shots, whatever. But like 10 weeks before this, there was a jump of a week where I think it was Vice, who, by the way, is either was Vice or was on the map jump_Vice. But like a dude literally just like came up on heavy and jumped down a hole and hit 2 edge bugs, and that was like the whole jump. Because like people forget that like edge bugging wasn't even really a thing until like 2013, which is like 6 years after the game came out. Like there were so many posts on TF2Jump.com where people are like, "What is happening? I just like slid off this box." I literally remember one time like Afterglow was trying to do a trick jump for a jump movie, and he slid off. He got an edge bug off a box, and he made a whole thread about it. Like, what just happened? What is this? And I'm gonna flame Afterglow because that dude gave me such a scummy edit on that video.
I think
But
even the description is also really funny. I don't know if he also made the
and okay, the
screenshot.
reason for that is because the video itself is I wasn't going for a trick jump. I was doing jump rook speedruns, and I think I gave him a demo that was like 30 minutes long. Because I was doing all these runs, and then in this run, I hit 2 edge shots in a row. I was like, "That's crazy." I was like, "Sure, here you go."
I mean, he says works from Canada goes absolutely huge, all caps, with 100% intentional triple X double edge shot
Like he
triple
did
X.
me dirty. He did me dirty in the
That-
description and in the edit. I won't get into the controversy, but the top time guys were a little young and a little immature.
I mean, 2013. Once again, 10 years ago. So
Let's say not the. I mean, it's kind of like you can bring this back. You start talking about sixes, but it's the kind of typical story where it's like from an outsider's point of view, the top players are the coolest and best. Then once you start like getting into the scene, they are usually very toxic. Unless you become good enough to like join the ranks.
that's
So,
fair.
so yeah, it was whatever. And then yeah, the other lore about the video is it was like the most like down fragged, like thumbs down video on the channel for a while. Mostly because people watched the video and they couldn't even tell they were edge shots. Like this was once again literally a time where like people didn't even really know what edge bugging was. Bro,
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
2023 and I swear to God I still hear people calling wall bugs edge bugs. I'm losing my mind.
I mean,
But
whatever
it's
they call it, it's a bug. It's a bug.
But the point is like, yeah, a lot of people watching the video didn't even know they were edge shots, which are edge bugs plus speed shots. And they just thought they were speed shots. And like 90% of the comments are like, did bro just do the jump normally? And it's like, it's not even a hard jump. And it's like, and I'm like, bros, please. And then, good guy Geist, he was I think he's German, top jumper at the time. One of the few jumpers with a nice personality in the comments defending my honor, saying, bros, these were edge shots. This is like the odds of this happening once, let alone twice in a row, are insane. It's like, thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Shout out to Geist from many years past. I still do recall. But yeah, no, that's the story of that video. It was one of the least liked videos on that channel for a good while.
Mhm.
I was humiliated, discriminated against, and
Well-
all around just destroyed by Afterglow. Fuck Afterglow.
I mean, he quit jumping.
And then he
Kinda
quit
soon.
because he said that it just wasn't worth it for him anymore. 'Cause he's just a big deal like that.
Well, it is what it is. But I would say though, I mean, it wasn't so grim in your jumping career, right? You were in actually 2 movies that I thought they were pretty cool. You were in 2015, November 8th, 2015. Every map is a soldier map. Number 3, was a goated movie. And then you were also part of Tip of the Hats 2016 on the Eden movie for 2 jumps. You were
That was the highlight.
That was the
Eden,
highlight.
I'll be honest, I don't even remember the other one. The other jump movies, I was just contributing to contribute. But like the 2 jumps I put in the Eden movie, like they didn't get a lot of screen time and they weren't like super flashy, but they were honestly so good.
I mean, being on Tip of the Hats, back then, I think it was like a big thing, and still was like a big thing because I think Tip of the Hats was kind of like a big deal. It was a huge deal.
And yeah, no, and I was like, I don't know if other people could appreciate how good. I was so happy with my jumps though, and then like I would go back and I'd rewatch that VOD. You know what I do unironically?
What would you do?
Because the VOD got muted because the music is
Yeah.
copyrighted. Is I would open up the YouTube video of the jump movie on YouTube, and I would sync it to the VOD on Twitch just so I could watch the live reactions over my jumps. Like I would do that so much because I was just so pleased with how
You were
that
so
turned out.
pleased. You were just so
Pleased with
goated.
myself.
And
like first ever seen like pre-fire pipe jump down a ramp. What?
What?
And then that was like the flashiest jump, and a lot of people like that one. But the jump I had at the end of the movie, where it was a pre-fire wall sink out of another wall sink that was out of an edge bug, was like that was crazy. And the other thing that was crazy about that jump is like technically it's a speed strat, because if you ever wanted to speed run that map, you'd want to go for that strat. So it's like that jump, in my opinion, was even cooler, but it didn't look as cool. But it's so good.
But even though you had your highlights, right? At the end of the day, you kind of did quit not compare, but like jumping, right? You kind of like faded out. It wasn't like a kind of like a switch, like a light switch. There was a bit of a fade out, right?
Yeah.
That brought you into TF2 sixes, and around, let me see, it's on my notes here. Around February 1st, 2015, you joined this fucking. Oh my bad. You joined your first ever team. Okay, thank you. But you joined your first ever TF2 sixes team called ECA Too Expensive in UGC, and I wanna say this to give you just some context and background. I think looking at the roster, I can recognize a lot of people. Actually, you have Faust, you have Nomi, you have Fusion, you have Snarkin and Nirvana. All players now, all super, and you also had Nightfall as well.
This is UGC.
This was UGC. This was your first team ever in UGC.
Okay, I definitely So for that team, I definitely was roster riding. I definitely did not play.
You did not play at all, and
well, except for one situation where I may have played on Nomi's account once because he couldn't play one day.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say your first team ever. You were on a gold team on ECA, or I mean UGC. Was kind of impressive. But
I definitely just maybe did a little IP cheating once, but that was it.
Okay, I mean that's a crime 7 years ago. So who really cares?
I'm not bound by the statute of limitations. This, that, whatever.
Sure, UGC is dead as well. But I wanted to like segue that into ECA and your actual first team. Well, I guess you did play some matches on ECA. You played for the Prograde team, season 24, and season 27. You play for the Crunchum team. You sub for 2 matches as well. But your first team ever, season 28, and I want to look at you. I want to see you. I want you to look at the roster. Scouts, Kongon, and Esper.
We go back.
Warwick, Soldier, Rita, Soldier, Falkenhammer, Demon, Melon, Kurama. Thoughts on that team?
Everybody just went on to be like mid-invite. Like, what are the odds?
I mean,
but
let me say something. Season 28, to give context, season 28 was 2018, 5 years ago.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. But
what do you want to ask? What about?
Well, I mean, look at the season, right? As well, giving more context to it. The winner team was Mr. Popple, John Milter, Tambo, Buddy, Raymond, N3, and kind of looked all those players kind of faded away. You know, they kind of just like, I guess Buddy's still around, but like most of those players kind of faded away, and you guys kind of took over kind of those spots. If you know what I'm saying, right?
You
Like
could say that.
like the moment RGL switch, you guys were taking their places, and I want to ask you, how did that make you feel becoming a better player? You know, actually getting better.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the background context.
Okay, what's the background? Even
Is that like, and I still kind of maintain this, all right? So I started playing sixes on TF2 Center with Nomi like all the time.
okay.
And one of the like most straightforward predictors of success, we do a little like sociological APA application here, right? One of the biggest predictors of how good a player was on your team is how many hours they had in the game. You got 500-hour Andy on your team, probably gonna go 3-30. You got 10,000-hour, Slayer with the $sign and the team captain, probably gonna carry you on scout. Because I jumped so much before I got into sixes. When I got into sixes, I think I had like 3,000 or 4,000 hours played. So I was just looking at all these sixes players with like 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours. I was like, you guys must suck. So I had a big ego when I started playing sixes. That's why I tried to get into IM immediately, especially on Soldier, because at the very least I did have better movement on Soldier than
a lot of
most
people. I mean, yeah,
soldiers at the time.
there's
Especially at the time, because this was like a time where like it was still like not uncommon that like soldiers in like IM and below would like W strafe if they even like crouched when they rocket jump. Like it was a low bar.
there are players who steal pencil in this game who are invite players, and I think that's funny. That's doing the pencil jump is funny.
Being
But
somebody who would C-tap in sixes used to be like exceedingly rare.
yeah, it
Now
was.
I like to think it's relatively commonplace, even if you have like a bind for it. But it used to be like you would tell people that you like C-tapped, and they'd be like, "What? No way."
I mean, I think back then, you know, the meta was also kind of different. You didn't have scout speed. You didn't have to like really move around. You know what I'm saying? You had a shotgun. As a pocket, you had a shotgun.
Well, it was I didn't play
You
ESEA
know,
season 28. Shotgun was kind of gimmicky. That was still back when like that'd be like the only people really running shotgun then was like Psy Guy and Rando.
people who,
This might even be after
I mean,
Rando.
people
I don't
who
remember too
good
much.
DM run the shotgun, and I can say that because I run shotgun. But anyway,
Oh,
moving
like
on.
I still think it was a bad idea.
Okay,
You
you say that. We say that. You say that.
know.
But moving on, and I kind of want to transition again to this next question. Since you play both ECA and RGL, how do they differ? What do you
Uh,
like about them? You
that's a
know,
fun question.
how do you,
Um,
which one you would rather play again?
so I mean, the things I didn't like about ESA was the invasive anti-cheat. Generally, the feeling of my computer being like scraped from the inside out, just by having them installed on my computer. So I wasn't a big fan of. But
Hmm.
also the pay structure. I mean, like
You
I
have
don't
to
know.
play for
Once
premium,
you're
yeah.
yeah, like once you're in once you're in the habit, and you're playing TF2, and it's not about the money, you get used to it. But pay structure was kind of, they're just robbing you. But the one thing I liked about ESEA is like, oh, you have an ESEA match, and you just like open the app, and it just like sends you to the server. Like you are there. I am in the game. I click the button. I am in.
I would say ECA and RGL, the biggest thing that I like about ECA, it's just like it actually feel official. You know, it felt like you're playing a match. Like it had like a way different feeling than playing like a match in RGL because you had to ready up yourself. You have to type dot ready. You can type dot cop fault or field or whatever. That was funny. You can type you had like all these commands and they were all funny and all. But it just for me personally, it felt like more official than anything than RGL has.
I mean, I agree. And I'll be honest, I think it's because they provided the servers with their own little configs, and like the big red text that would show up.
Yeah, the green text,
The match is
match is
started.
ready. And then like restarts like 5 times to just make sure the config is fine or whatever, which was also so funny every time. But ESEA had like their own problems, you know. Sometimes your teammate cannot join the server because of the anti-cheat. There's no admins. There was only one admin for TF2. You have try, and that's it. So, you know, but I would say I think it was really interesting how ECA changed or how like the divisions within Open. So like you like, or I guess also intermediate. Like you had like the West Coast division, the Central division, and the East Coast division. So you would only play with people near your area, even if you wanted to, right? I think if RGL actually applies that, that would kind of that would kind of interesting. But they will never apply that. But it would be kind of interesting though.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, yeah, I just think the biggest thing is just having
The server,
dedicated servers, please,
which
please.
is
Like, I think part of the ritual of ESA is literally just like, every other day you're launching TF2 by clicking on your TF2 icon. But on match day, you're clicking on the ESEA icon. It's like, it feels different. You're going somewhere else.
you would definitely go on someone else. But talking about RGL, let's talk about your first RGL team, which, and I quote, right? And I quote, you guys went 1-8,
Why you
last
hating?
place.
Why you hating?
He died mid-season. And I look at the roster. Really controversial roster as well. Really, actually controversial.
Right, so we're talking, which
So well,
season is that?
that's the first season in RGL. So let me name the people first, right? So you have Aquila, Magma, you. Okay. So far so good, right? So far so good, right? And then you have Ufpes. Oh,
Okay.
and then you have Alpha and Retro David. Like those two people who are perma banned now. But I thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny. But moving on.
Not perma-banned for cheating.
No perma. That's it. But I wanted to change that because after a few seasons, you went into Invite. How was it? Playing your Invite season. How was it? How do you feel?
Yeah,
Any thoughts, regrets?
I mean, it's the same thing. I was still like egoing out, I mean,
You
that's
didn't
kind of who
change?
I am. Here's the opinion I've had, and it's good that you mentioned that forbidden team because it was on that forbidden team that I feel like I kind of maxed out because I remember the summer of 2019 because prior to that, I mean, the biggest issues with me because I thought about the game a lot, I had a good understanding of the game fundamentals and all that, and had good movement, jumping, all that. I always kind of had bad DM. And some people today would still probably say I have bad DM. And to be fair, in the face of the MG lords that now creep and crawl around Invite, relatively speaking, perchance. But that was always like my Achilles heel is that sometimes you get me in the 1v1 and I lose. And it was RGL season 1 where I really felt like I locked in. And the reason for that is because prior to that, I would take like 3 months, 6 months off from TF2 like over and over again for school and stuff. But yeah, summer 2019 was like the first time I'd played TF2 on like a regular basis for a year straight. Whether or not it's healthy is not to be said, but it helped me get into my DM groove. And so yeah, after that, once I got like my DM cooking, it's like I had the brain, methinks, and I had the movement and all that. Then I was like, yeah, I could probably the whole time I was playing TF2, I figured I could play Invite because season in and season out, I'd be seeing people I'd consider contemporary to me getting into Invite. And I was like, well, this is a joke. You don't even want to know how toxic I was when Amber got into Invite in the ESEA. I was like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was shocked.
All I'm gonna say about Brune, all I'm gonna say on Brune is he had the best master, the best teacher, and who it was me and Happy Bob. All I'm saying, we taught him the ways.
And then Goku got in, and then Nomi got in. I was sitting there for a
Everyone got
long
in.
time, and I was like, okay, like the bar for Invite isn't that high. Come on, guys.
But saying that, I'll give you more context. Your first Invite season, I think a lot of people say it's like they used to say it was like the meekest of season of all of TF2 of all time because you got fourth place. But let me give more context. There were only 6 teams, right? And I think out of all of those 6 teams right now, they could probably make 4th place at least.
That's what I'm saying is that it was only 6 teams, but like they were good 6 teams. Like the teams that my team beat to get 4th, like I'll list the rosters off by heart. All right,
I can do it for you.
No, trust me. No, I'm gonna flex right now. All right, team that we beat 3 times the whole season wasn't close. Had Shamu, Chunky at some point became body. Ed, KJ Quad. Guy on medic. Already mentioned Shamu. Mentioned the scouts. The soldiers were Hayes and Nazara.
Correct.
Mhm.
So we bodied that team every time we played them. And like all of those players are really well established Invite players, especially Shamu lately. Sky had played medic forever. Ed is getting his glow up these days.
I think even before those players were kind of like pretty strong. I think
Everybody thought my team was gonna get stomped on. And to be fair, my team had a couple like obvious carries, those being Sin Karma, who was new on the scene, but was like arguably cheating and definitely playing very well. And
well,
then we
maybe
also had Yosh, and Yosh was established to be good. And I think by the time he quit, I honestly think he was like top 2 Invite scout. Like he was out of his mind good.
I would say Josh was one of like the most talented people I saw. Like talented DM wise and mechanic wise. He could play anything. He
Yeah,
could
no,
play
he's like
scout,
such a
soldier.
dynamic player and a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
teammate. Like he was like the real carrier of that team, and he was so good. But anyways, that was the other team we beat to get.
Can I say that?
Okay,
Let me.
yeah, say it.
This team is crazy now. This is G6 Lite. You have Lol Guy, PC, Howard, Recurso, Caps, and Fruit. This was G6 before G6 was a thing.
All
And
I'm saying, all
and you
right,
guys beat them.
we beat them, and like here's the thing. That's like,
However,
yeah, okay, you tell, you
however,
tell.
they did not use their alias a couple too many matches, and they did get their points reduced. But you guys did beat them one match.
Controversial. We beat them twice. That was the controversy. We beat
You
them
beat
in the
them
head to
twice.
head. We beat them in the head to head, but we had a worse win loss percentage. Like rounds won versus rounds lost, we were like a couple percent low. And
Mhm.
the only reason we got in over them is because of the penalties. Because they used the win percentage. If they used the head to head, then we would have got in because we had a better head to head.
That is true. That is true. I would say this is not really part of anything, but I would say when I was looking at the roster, Slenmish was also on the roster. So in a way, you
Oh, you
also
don't want to know. You don't
in a
want to
way
know.
May is on the roster as well. In a way, you also beat May and Slenmish. In a way, I guess maybe
No, in a
if
way,
in a way mental
is
gymnastics.
one
In
of
a
the
way,
matches that we beat that team in was on product. DM map, by the way. And they had subbed out Caps for Slumnish that match. So my team just stomped Slumnish on product
I would
personally. Like I don't
say
know what to tell you.
you had seen Karma on demo and probably
No, and
Josh on
Yosh
Sniper.
sniped the whole
So
time,
it
and it was
was it
disgusting.
was probably not even close. It was probably not even close, right? But
Yeah.
but this is a good season. This was actually a pretty good season. All things considered, the only reason why it was bad or it was like mentioned it was a bad season, it was because there were 6 teams. It wasn't because of the quality of the teams.
Yeah, no, it's like you could have had like 4 like invite quals teams by today's standard, and they would have just been sitting at the bottom. Like,
Like yeah, you could have like I don't want to say I don't want to be toxic, but you could have like 4 ROM teams and it would have been like a better season than the last season.
yeah, like
TBH.
it's just you're filling it up, this that. But no, they were good team. There's good matches.
It looks like they rang a high five instead of Slamnish for the
Oh,
main.
okay, no, yeah, you're right. Jay's right. I misremembered. Yeah, it wasn't Slumnish in the product match. It was High Five. I didn't. I don't really care because the only thing I remember that product match is that they rang in my mind a better scout than Caps.
Even
That
though
was the only thing.
Caps even though Caps is the goat now,
And
right?
yeah, you know, maybe
Sure, maybe.
maybe part of it was like, wait, maybe Caps was better the whole time.
Maybe you just have to believe on him. All along. You
Yeah.
just have to believe. But anyway, this you play so many seasons. You had so many invites, invite advanced IM teams, right? This next question is which one is your favorite one? Which
My
one is
favorite team?
yeah, your favorite team from all time?
Uh,
You must to have one. You play with so many people.
thing. So the big things is like season 4, that season you just mentioned was like kind of like the peak of my like self-improvement arc. Ever since that season,
Well, I would
I have,
say,
you
yeah,
know,
that was your pick. That after that, it
I
has
mean, yeah,
been downhill. It
like
has been
literally
downhill.
speaking, it was my highest invite placement, but also like ever since that season, I've honestly not focused on myself nearly as much. Like I put everything into like my own personal improvement those seasons and preceding. Every season after, I've been a lot more team oriented about like How can I make the team I'm on better? Who needs to, level up? How can we play around them? How can I criticize them?
I think after this season, right, you became more of a team leader as well. You kind of like switch roles between like being part of the team to guiding the team.
Yeah.
Showing your team what to do and like them reviewing with your team because you had more knowledge and you became wiser as well.
So I'm trying to. I definitely have a favorite team. I got to remember the exact configuration of it, but it wasn't the season 4 team because by the end of the season 4, everybody was really fed up with Sin Karma and it was really awkward.
Well, I would
And
say you guys did cyberbullets in Karma. That's some controversy again. You guys cyberbullets in Karma. I remember Sin Karma would message me crying. Why
look,
are the cyberbullies? Like, he didn't message me, but it's
look,
funny.
Sin Karma was very mean to me as well, but I was not offended because it was coming from him, and that just made it funny. But let's just say it was not undeserved. It's incompatible.
It was, yeah, you guys just have troubles, and that's all. But
I need to look at my team history. I'll be honest. The season, look, the Forbidden season with the team of Forbidden players that have been permabanned. I like that team a lot. That team
oh,
had good
okay.
chemistry.
You had good chemistry,
Everything in
even though
game,
he died.
everything in game about that team was honestly pretty solid.
Right,
The
right.
out of game situations were chance not so great.
I don't think you can separate the in-game and the outside. You know what I'm
I
saying?
I will
This
leave
is
the
this
philosophical
is
debates for
this
another
is not
time.
like, oh, you can separate the art from the artist kind of
I
moment.
mean,
No,
well,
you
I mean,
can't.
when you get in the game, you have 30 minutes of,
I mean, yeah, but you still have to talk to the people
I
afterwards.
like, okay, so I'm looking at like all my teams here. Like, I've played on way too many teams. Didn't like any of my advanced sandbag teams. No disrespect.
I mean, look, man, we all have like our highs and lows. I think the advanced teams, to me, sandbagging advanced,
They
they
always
were
just get
fun.
like they're
That
I don't
depends.
know,
It
but it
depends.
doesn't scratch the itch. It doesn't scratch the itch. It's like we're trolling. We're this. I want to like. There's nothing to me more satisfying than just like literally obliterating somebody that wasn't expecting to get smoked.
Okay.
Just like just I'm looking at like. Mm, I feel like one of these teams I did not have a problem with anybody, but I'm looking at my teams. There's always like some source of like pain and suffering and conflict.
There's always, I mean,
Like the Penguins of Madagascar team, me,
I
Virgil,
mean,
that
yeah,
Alexandros is goal. Like that team had issues, but it was also like a really good team for just like self-improvement mentality. Like that was the first team where I could take a leadership role and people did not immediately ignore me. Some people did, but not all of them.
some
The
people did.
uh,
But,
which was not bad. I,
well, I mean, yeah, I think you have the thing as well. In a team, are you really gonna be like Sisyphus, rolling the boulder for the self improvement that you may reach or you may never reach? Or are you gonna have fun? That's the question. What's your favorite team to play with? What's your favorite team?
well, it's what I'm. It's like what I'm looking at. It's what I'm looking for this season too. It's like I just want a team where like I feel like everybody has the
Like to them or the same mentality?
like yeah, like the idea that you can step back and be like, if we like reorganize and re-strategize, the game will change. Because for the longest time, everybody I played with, it always feels like it's boiling down to like we're getting out DM'd, or like this one player on my team sucks, and it just feels like very small-minded, like micro. I want to.
Microsoft.
So that was like the biggest thing with like the Penguins and Madagascar team. So I mean, I guess I'll give it to them right now because nothing else is really coming to mind. But like,
Okay, big shout outs to them. Maybe come with
yeah,
big shout
yeah,
outs.
yeah. Nixie, Alexander's Gold, and Virgil. That like that team also collapsed for
Well,
various reasons. But that was like the number one team I was on, where we could like sit and mumble even after a loss, and like nobody would rage quit out, and we could have a discussion about like how we could like restructure our plays, re-strategize to make improvements. I think every team I've been on before or since has always had like rage quitters after a loss, which is like kind of mid.
I mean, look, we're all playing TF2 here. I think all of TF2 players are kind of emotional. Is that facts or fiction? That's facts. 80% of the TF2 players are emotional. They don't like when they lose. They like when they win, though. But I would say, though, I think your teams, they all have like these. How do I describe this? They have this kind of personality to it. I think all of them have like a different like playstyle as well, right? So how do you feel about that? Having to play like so many different playstyles. How do you feel adapting these different playstyles?
I mean, play styles are like. Can you be more specific? It's
Well, let's see. I would say for the Yosh team, right? I feel like you guys were more aggressive because you guys knew what to do and you guys knew you had the DM to back the aggression, right? But the Penguins of Madagascar, you guys would a lot of the times play kind of more passive in ways, more baity. So it was like it's not the same thing as like, oh, I'm solely on mid. I'm just gonna high bomb for the 20 kajillion time to see what happens. You guys were more like,
shoutouts to Paul Dog. Paul Dog's favorite play.
yeah, Paul looks very flat. Just can we high bomb guys for the 40
I
millionth
love I
time?
love double bombing with Paul Dog.
Yeah,
It's a dude. No, so I mean to that extent, it's like so part of that depends on how much of a role I have as a team leader versus as an individual player. Like when I was playing season 4 and prior, like my whole thing season 4 was like I took the mids into my hands. Every single mid, I was either flanking or like hiding in our flank. I maintain I was like the progenitor of that stuff. Like nowadays, you hear people saying like, "I'm gonna bait our sewer on process." Was anybody actually doing that before me? Seriously, I don't think so.
I think I was doing
Especially
that.
me, like hiding IT. Point is, I was super big on those mids, and I think there's still a lot of validity to it. But like that in season 4, I maintain like that's kind of like if it was just me, I'd probably just keep doing those mids forever. Just flank mids, making space, jumping behind, and then setting up a collapse after coercing a certain rotation. But yeah, depending on the people I'm playing with, that doesn't happen. And that's because, and realistically, if you're playing to win in TF2, theory or no theory, you just want to play to your strengths. And if you're on a team with like really good scouts, then just don't feed on soldier, let them carry you. You're on a team with like really good soldiers, then it's like, yeah, just bomb, nuke, do damage. You're on a team with a really good demo, make space. So like, yeah, I would change how I play depending on like, who the carry factor of the team is. And the thing with the Penguins is like that team didn't have a real carry factor, which is probably part of the reason why, you know, we got along because there wasn't like a clear hierarchy of like who's the GOAT player that's carrying us.
Well, I would say there was a hierarchy. I don't think there was like a goat hierarchy, perhaps.
What do you think the hierarchy was? You weren't on the
Maybe
team.
maybe at the end of the season when like you asked me to play and you said some interesting stuff towards an interesting player. I'm not gonna say
Okay, that was taken out of
that
context.
was not taken out of the
But the,
context.
the look, the
You
main thing is I just try to play to the strengths of the team, and then yeah, on
no, it
that
was
team
fun. It was
where
fun.
there's not like an individual player that we're playing around to like clean up and destroy everyone, it usually turned into like just team collapses
Uh,
because you might as well.
So I was gonna say it wasn't like let's play around Yoshers and Karma. Let's play around all those people. It's like let's actually play as a team and work our strengths out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. And in theory, you could argue that like if you brought that level of team play to like a team full of carries, then you'd have a top invite team. Even then, it's not as easy as it sounds because it's hard to separate a collapse from a feed sometimes.
Sometimes, I mean, it's hard. The game is hard. It is what it is. But enough about this game. Well, actually, we're gonna continue about this game, but we're gonna continue about more about your casting career.
Wait,
You know
wait.
what I'm saying? So
Can you look at the log that I put in the group chat, and can we talk a little bit about that before we move on?
sure, we're gonna talk about this one log before we move on.
I
And it's
love logs. I'll preface this by saying I've
okay.
always thought logs were BS. The new generation is being blinded by the light.
I kind of agree. I would say this. I'm gonna preface this. This is gonna be a big preface. Logs tell one story, but the demos will always tell a different story sometimes.
That's what I'm saying.
And this
I
story,
would always say is like people that watch an entire match of sixes and then say, "Show me the logs." I'm shaking my head because I'm like, you just watched the match. Why are you asking for numbers?
and look, right in this log that we're watching, right? Um,
I have it up on screen. Yeah.
yeah. You are seeing something incredible that happened, something terrific that happened. I wouldn't say terrific, maybe terrific. Yeah, Warwick's going 4-33, two matches, but it's against Froyotech. And like, if you see this Froyo, this is a good version of Froyotech as well. You have
This
Habib,
is prime.
Jay, Arik, Blaze, Banyan Scott. And also you have skis, I guess. But like the point was, this was a good project. It was a good project. And if I had to guess how Warwick's play on this match, it was to make space for their team, because
Yeah, and the best part is you don't have to guess because I'm right here.
But I like guessing. But anyways, Warwick's, what do you do in this match? What do you do in this
Yeah,
loss? What
this
happened?
is a good match because it teaches you a lot. You look at the logs and it's like this guy sucks. But the main thing is
Yeah.
here's what happened this match. First thing about this match that was really interesting is our first map was Sunshine, right? And I had like the best Sunshine mids that season. I was so happy. I was reinventing the meta. I wasn't actually just hiding in corners. I had like new spam lanes. Really happy with myself. We were playing the Psy Guy team that season, like Mal, whatever version of that was.
I think it
And
was Morning Light.
yeah, Morning Light, and it was like we had such a, I mean, it was an awful match because we messed up our last pushes so horrifically that we lost. But we won every mid, and I won every mid by using my inventive spam technique, which was rolling out to our own Tetris. And by inventive, I mean I think I ripped that from like Wansky or something. It's old soldier tech, maybe Captain.
Okay, go
But
with it.
like you roll out to your own Tetris and then you spam choke. And like I did that every mid and I shot Psy Guy and Psy Guy would either leave mid or die to spam. And it was just like the most cozy, comfy, happy mid of all time. So I'm going into this playoff match. We're playing Sunshine. I'm like, I'm good on Sunshine. We have good results on Sunshine. And what happened? What do you think happens? I roll out. I land on our own Tetris. I'm lining up the spam. And like 2 seconds later, I see Blaze flying through the choke, landing on top of me. And I was in shock. Because the moment that happened, I knew in my heart that Froyotech had looked at our demos and had looked at my mid and had counterattacked us. And I should have known the moment that happened that it was over. Because like that was it. I literally knew the moment he landed on me. It's like I've never seen Blaze do this ever. I've seen like all of his demos, and he has never done this. And now he is counterattacking me. What the f, bros? So
So you just gave up after that one made. You're like, okay.
no, but what happened was, and like this ties into like my mentality for that whole season, which was like, I'm the roamer. I'm like my whole team just needs to go even with their team, and then I'm the playmaker. And I was like, my super big theory that season was literally just like go behind, go into their flank, and drag people behind. With the idea being, if they send more than one player behind, I just keep distracting, making space. And if they send nobody behind, I set up for a collapse. And if they send one person behind, I 1v1 them. My whole thing was like, a lot of teams would send one player back to deal with me, and I would 1v1 them. That was why I was like coming off my high from the summer of 2019, where I finally got my DM together and I could 1v1 people in the flank. And what happened this match, because I should have realized it that mid that like they were counter-teching me, but I didn't, is I was like, okay, well, I'm the playmaker on my team, so I need to like play the hardest I've ever played. I'm going to go for the craziest, most hero flank plays of all time. And what happened that entire match is every time I went to push a flank on my classic timing that worked the whole season, Eric was there waiting. He was standing there waiting for me the whole time. And I was like, okay, well, it's not the end of the world because I just need to 1v1 Eric. And then what would happen every single time
You
is
would
Eric
lose.
would like roll me for 100. I would hit him for 80. He would serve backwards, and 2 seconds later, Blaze would be bombing from somewhere and landing on me. And that was that match in a nutshell. Is they would get advantage because they rolled me at mid. I would go for a flank play, and I would get 2v1 in the flank constantly. And the biggest mistake I made that match is I never adjusted. Every time I died, I thought I had to like go even deeper into the feed to like overcome it. And I just kept getting 2v1 in the flank over and over and over again.
So pretty much in this match, you just got hard red, and you didn't change.
Yeah, that's the honest interpretation of the match. Yes, I had like one very committed playstyle, and they clearly teched it, and I did not adapt the entire time.
And then, but this is a good opportunity to grow. You learn this hard lesson, one of the hardest lessons as a TF2 soldier, especially, that you need to adapt. Because if Annie or anyone watches your demos, eventually they're gonna counter you, and you had to adapt unless you want to go 0-50.
Yeah, well, I'm still flattered. Like I guarantee you they watched our demos, and I was just flattered that like Manny took time out of his day to like study our demos for playoffs. I was
Well,
like, respect.
me personally, wouldn't be flattered because never mind. Well, I was gonna say Bunny has so much time, free time. He can do whatever
Yeah.
he wants. But like, anyways, moving on. Now, moving on to the actual question I wanted to ask you. Your casting career. Do you remember the first time you casted? You know?
No, I don't. I don't remember the first time I casted.
You don't remember anything about that?
The most memorable early cast I had was RGL Advanced Grand Finals between Realm and some Donovan Circle Jerk team.
Was that on Fireside, no?
I think that was on Fireside.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I
was.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. And I want to ask you, you like casting, right?
I
You like casting?
do. I do enjoy cast.
What do you like about casting? What do you like about casting about this game? Specifically this game.
Well, I mean, it comes and goes too. Like personally, if I'm going to be real, I know we're like co-casters.
A little bit.
I think I'm more of like a solo caster.
You get in your head. You get in your head.
No, because this is what I like to do when I'm watching the game. Because here's the other big thing is that like I've never been like a sixes watcher. Like even when I was playing the game and playing TF2 centers and getting into the league, I never watched competitive games. And I mean that's like a systemic issue with like the STV setups and whatnot. I find it's hard to watch. The only reason I watch games now is because like I know the players on the teams and I have like skin in the game. But like I've never really watched TF2 competitive or otherwise. I just like to play it. So when I'm casting, it's not because I like to watch the game. And I think that comes across in how I cast. Because people who like to watch the game when they cast are like shoutcasters. They're like, "Oh my god, air shotting him now," And it's like the niche I wanted to bring to the game when casting is the kind of the same as like demo reviewing, where I wanted to kind of get the, boil down the strategies in real time. And the reason I like that advanced grand finals between Crondrome and Donovan team, as I will now call them. I think they had fun on them that season. I don't know. It was the two good teams. But I managed to get like a narrative going where like both teams were like operating with opposite strategies. Where like one team had really baity soldiers playing to collapse like 6v4 style. The other team had like really committed soldiers that were always like going for damage. Because that's the kind of TF2 I like to like watch. And it's how I like to think about the game because it makes it open ended, I think the game's a lot more boring when it gets boiled down to like here are the right things to do, and the team that wins is the team that executes the right thing better. I think it's a lot more interesting when it's like, there's play and then there's counterplay, and the teams are like negotiating between, are they going to counterplay their opponents? Are they going to play to their own strengths? Are they going to compromise? And, are they going to adapt? Are they going to change how they play in the middle of a match? Are they going to go from like how they like to play to how they think they'll counter the team they're playing? Or like vice versa, they play to counter the other team that's not working, so they're just gonna fall back into what's comfortable for them. Point is, like that's what I like about casting, and I think there's an audience for it, because if there wasn't an audience for it, I wouldn't cast. I would just do it on my own time. But I think there's a lot of people that are also interested in like the theory of the game and have a little niche where it's like I'm somebody that could like maybe pick apart the game, and give it to that audience. But anyways, I'm just ranting about this because I feel like lately it's hard to do that because Jared is literally Eminem when it comes to casting, and he's like redefining the meta of casting to be like just a non-conscious stream of just this that. Like I could literally imagine the entire game as it's happening with my eyes closed because he's capturing every little detail.
So you're saying Jared is like, if everyone was like blindfolded or whatever, he's just perfectly describing the game, how it goes, and they should
He's
have
the
a
goat.
clear
He's the
direction.
goat.
I mean, I like Jared. I think Jared's casts are pretty good. It's a shame. Well, maybe it's a shame that he played on the team because I did miss his cast. I think his casts were funny, and they were good. But I would say I also like casts where it's like, if you're breaking down what the players are doing, what they're actually doing, and you give him actual insight or hindsight, maybe, I think it could be good. I think it could be great.
Yes.
I remember you telling me how you had this theory about casting. It was like so fun. It was so weird. It was like, hey, what if we have like UK comedy casting where like everyone's just not having any emotion and we just describe what's happening and that's it. There's like no emotion
The,
going there.
the, the golf cast.
Yeah, the golf cast where it's just like no emotion whatsoever. I'm like, and I think I told you that was like the most stupid idea you ever had.
I still would love that because I feel like the golf cast is like the final form of the analyst cast. It's like soldiers sacking through choke and he misses it. And get a little golf clap in the background.
Yeah, sure. If you had like sound effects, I guess, but
yeah, no, it's like that's my thing. I like a little bit more analysis because yeah, the game doesn't really excite me per se anymore. I'm not sure it ever really did like excite me.
I mean, you played this game for 10 years,
Yeah,
11
but
years now, so it's
that's
like,
not because it's exciting. It's because I always like the strategy,
I see.
and so that's what I like about casting. Be like, what's going through these guys' head? What are they thinking?
Well, I did have this question. It's kind of funny. Now, like I'm rereading this question. The question is, as a caster, how would you like the game to change? Because you're casting the game.
I
But it
mean,
doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll cut you off right there, Chief. I don't have any like strict ideas, but the point with like just the watchability of TF2 is that I mean, I just think it's hard to watch, like personally. I don't watch a lot of esports though, so like this could just be a case of like I'm just not the target audience,
Hmm.
which is maybe ironic because I do play the game. But
Yeah.
I just find it hard to watch. I think there's been some good tech. Like I like the camera transitions that they've added where it's like it goes from person to person. I think caster like some orgs have been like adding in like more third person shots, but I do think some like good third person shots would be good for the game because like that's how I watch the game, and I also think that's how good analysis happens, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
imagine like you're watching. I can't give like a good sports analogy because I don't watch enough sports, but
Right.
you have different defensive setups in basketball, right? Like you have like man on man, or you can like move. You can I'm going to 2v1 a guy in basketball, but you know what I mean, right? Like
Okay.
you can have
Okay.
like man to
Sure.
man
In
defense, or you can
basketball, I
you.
guess.
But the point is like it's a lot easier to see those kind of strategies when you're like zoomed out in the stands watching like, oh, they literally have one guy on every guy. Like imagine if you were in the POV of a basketball player. Like how are you going to tell that they're running a man-to-man defense? You know what I mean? So like that's why I think like more third-person shots would be better, especially if
Agreed.
you can loop that in with actual analysis.
I see.
Because yeah, then you can actually see like the layout. Because I think, I don't know, it's like it's kind of the boomerism to say that like the top level of sixes isn't getting like super competitive these days because like people are quitting faster than they're getting good. And I call it a boomerism because that's like just your opinion, man, and maybe the new players are super good.
I mean,
But but I finished my thought is that it's
yeah,
like
you go.
is that I do think that like in a healthy top level TF2 sixes environment is that like that wide scope strategy is important. It's not about just like position this or position that. It's about knowing like who's on who, like who's going to shoot the roamer, who's going to clean up on the medic, who's going to make the distraction. And yeah, I think if you have a good third person shot on things, you should be able to pick that strategy out as you're watching. So
Okay. I mean, I can see it. I mean, I talked to you about this as well some time ago, and every time I watch you play or watch a demo or watch a match, you always love your helicopter views. It was so funny. You had the helicopter cam instead of like the POV cam, which I thought was always funny. But I understand the idea. However, right? However, if you don't really like, well, not really like, but if you don't really watch the game as a player, though, how would you like the game to be changed?
uh,
Anything could be like just playing cold maps, could be only playing 5CP.
sixes,
Yeah, 60 could be
I
only be playing Metal Wars for like 3 hours. It could be anything. What do you want to change? What do you want to
uh,
change, man?
I used to think about these a lot more. I'm an old man now.
You.
It's been years.
This is a cool fact about Warrex, fellas. Warrex is 32, guys. Remember this? He's
Gosh.
32. Next week is his birthday. Can we have a happy birthday, Warrex?
Look, so like I'm just saying that as a preface that like I'll kind of give you rough inclinations of what's going on in my head. I probably had better explanations in years past, but like the first thing is like I've always generally preferred 5CP to Koth. Koth is
Really?
considered the DM game mode, but in my mind, Koth is literally just like running a mid fight over and over again. And I've never really found mid fights that enjoyable. Uh, yeah, I think they're like interesting to have in a 5CP, but like I've always thought stalemates and like just stopping to think about what are we gonna do now was like the real, if you haven't, there's like a theme going on here. If you haven't noticed about like the kind of player I am, very strategy oriented player. I'm not just like trying to farm air shots all the time.
Yeah, I mean, like, you never had a frag movie.
Yeah, like, but that's look.
But like, point
Point
is,
is that like that's just what I'm saying. It's like what I like about the game is the strategy. You know,
yeah,
that was always my biggest takeaway when I moved from jumping to sixes, is that like I got kind of tired of jumping because, as happens with every jumper, is that you kind of you get to like your upper limit of ability, and it's like that logarithmic scale where it takes more and more effort to improve less and less, and at some point it's just not worth your time anymore. But with sixes, it's like yeah, there's still like that ceiling there where it takes more and more effort to get less and less good. But, there's always that element of strategy, right? Like you can always just run a completely different play out of the blue and it changes the dynamic of the game to keep things fresh. So, uh, yeah, so I mean, I always liked 5CP for that reason. You stop, take a minute, how are we going to break this hold? Interesting, interesting. Koth was always just because the Koth flowchart is just so like brainless, it's just
it depends on the map. I would say, like, if it was,
Yeah, I like Bagel. Bagel's, and I think it's grown on a lot of people. Bagel's interesting because it has dedicated flanks. I think product is. I've always thought product was awful.
I think I think
I
clear
know that's
code.
a hot take, but I
I
think
think
product is genuinely awful.
clear code might be the worst code map. I think products is fine. I like bagel, but I would say those are interesting takes because I think a lot of people have like quite the opposite of your take. They're like, I hate 5CP because there's too many cellmates. I don't want to do this. I don't want to breathe. I want to DM. I want to shoot my gun.
Yeah,
Which is
let
interesting.
me like get back into my like. This is like this is like studying for like a school subject that you haven't taken in 3 years. Like, what is the cost flow chart again? You go to mid, you win the mid, you forward spawn camp them, you win the round because forward spawn camping is broken. But if that doesn't happen, then they get out of the forwards. Then it's either pressure for point or 4-man for med pick to get Uber at. It's like, and that's literally like the only two plays that make any sense. And the only like interesting part of Koth is the one mind game that is, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna 4-man for your medic, or are we gonna pressure the point? And I think Bagel does it way better because the dedicated houses for flanks like allow a lot more mixing up, and it also allows for like the flank to do things where they don't just like immediately get botted down by the scouts by the rock. Thank you, product. And
Of
also,
course,
like, I mean, the mind games aside, the thing that makes product a bad map is just sniper. I'm just gonna say it. But
not a big fan of sniper.
yeah, I mean, it's busted, especially if you're good at sniper. But the main thing is it's just the COD formula is literally just like get medic pick and or like pressure point. Uh, if anything, I think teams these days like overcomplicate it so much where it's like it's even Ubers and they're like edging the point. It's like, what do? We have to like get a pick on the flank or like this. It's like, no, send it, get the medic for a sleeve, like for real. Like I'm pretty sure you could probably solve COD if you just like counted all if you just calculated the seconds. Where it's like, all right, well, if we get the force here and they cap, and then it takes like they get 15 seconds of cap, but then we can retake it for free with full ad and then camp them. We get like 30 seconds back. It's just like I just think it's lame, honestly.
Just lame.
It is really fun to farm stats though. You do get really high DPM on Koth. And
Well, it
so I
depends.
think
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
Koth
yeah.
is very good for the logs obsessed players because you do get very big numbers on Koth.
You get people doing 500 DPM, maybe
Big numbers,
600,
big
big
numbers.
numbers. I think people till this day they talk about how Clockwork had like 100 kills in product that one match. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess, I
So
guess he
yeah,
did. He really did. He really did do that.
but I don't care for it. I saw in the RGL survey today that they've been pulling to bring attack defense back. Cannot
Okay,
imagine a worse game mode.
I'm going to
Honestly,
lie.
I can't.
I'm not. I'm gonna lie. We both saw the RGL. So who's asking to ban the rescue ranger? Like who's asking for that?
I think they nerfed it at some point. I'd still never unban it because being able to repair your gun for free is awful.
And then you're just moving your gun.
Or is that the
Give me.
nerf that it uses like metal now? Like that's still not balanced, but
Correct.
Yeah, but still, and then there's other guns like the Sydney Sleeper. Like, what? Do I want to get peed on across the map? No, dude. Like,
dude,
grow up.
that one is so broken. If the Sydney Sleeper ever got unbanned, I think like running a full-time perma sniper would just be it. Like
Yeah,
it would be over.
you didn't even headshot the play. You just body shot the
Yeah,
demo, or
like
he just.
anybody you body shot is like literally marked for death. It's
It's
over.
so fun. It's like it's when they unbanned the Jarati. That was so on the machina. It was so funny. Made no sense.
You
Made no
are
sense.
marked for death. You will die.
That's incredible. But like honestly, I would say They should just add CP entropy. I like CP entropy. You know, that's a good map.
I saw that. It is a fun map.
I like the map. It's
That's
just
the
better,
other thing,
better than it works. But anyway,
same thing with like the game modes is like I definitely had like a year there where I was really into like new maps. Now I'm kind of out of it.
It's because maybe you're just too faded. Maybe you're
It
too
comes
burned
and
out.
goes. It's because it does take commitment and dedication to like play the new maps, learn the new maps, and think about what makes a map good. And it's a lot, and it's like, man, I'm not really gonna like do that right now because it is a lot. I had like a checklist somewhere about what makes a good map. I like to think I actually had a pretty good understanding of what makes a good map, but all of this
You
information will be lost to time.
you
I did a
realize that.
lot. I did a lot of map testing.
I would say
Lucrative pugs, new map design cups, all that.
the RGL cops or whatever, the map test map test cops actually. I know that's and Pogs as well, but I would say you did a lot for TF2 as well.
Thank
Some people that play with you know about your Bible,
you.
the Walrex
That's
Bible.
private. What the heck?
That is private, but I would say I'm just mentioning this. I would say you were really dedicated, and you probably are still dedicated. You know, like you wrote a fucking book, 300 pages just about TF2. You know, not stats, but like what's it called, plays and all that stuff like that. So you have dedication, dedication in your
I
blood.
did. I've been thinking if I ever get around to it, then maybe I'll just like compile all those notes into a website and make it a resource.
I mean, you could do it. I mean, it's really up to you, right? Do you really want to do it? Do you really want to keep out the secrets of Warwick's TF2, the Warwick Soldier?
I mean, at this point, I don't care about the secrets so much. It's just about getting them out in a way that would be accessible.
Yeah, you want to be like Gongon, the demo diaries, the Warwick's. What's
Yeah,
up? What's up
the
with
demo
W thing?
diaries.
Warwick's
No, my stuff is not just soldier. My stuff is like sixes.
in
It's all of
general.
that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all.
yeah. But we went around. We went around your jumping career. We went around your TF2 career a little bit. We went around your casting career, but you also were an admin.
Uh,
What?
uh,
You were
uh,
an admin.
uh,
What?
uh,
Oh my
uh,
goodness.
And I would say, how was that? How was your experience as an
It was
admin?
bad. It was not good.
It
No,
was
it was.
bad.
Oh, here's the thing. All right.
Okay,
So
go on,
I
man. Go on.
applied to be an admin to do what I thought would be nice, cool administrative duties. I was like really inspired to be an admin.
Right, right. You
Inspired
were
is a strong word. It's a strong word, but I was inspired because there was a conflict the season before I got on between some Mal team, and like I don't know G6 or Witness or something, where like the Mal team lost in like 5 minutes on process and claimed they weren't throwing, even though they ran like double sniper or something. Absolutely foolish the entire time.
it's like those small teams. They're always like trolling, but they're not trolling, right? Like it's kind of weird. Anyways,
And I think it was like ruled that they were not trolling, or I don't know. But I remember seeing that, and I was like, man, if I was admin, they were definitely trolling because oh my god, it's
but
obvious, And that's
yeah,
what I signed on for as like an admin. I was like, I'm a smart player, maybe. Been
you know
playing
how
for
I
a long
picture,
time.
you, like that really new college graduate student who's like ready to get his first job. First day at the job, just to find out his shit. Just to
The
find out,
office
it's
job, yeah.
awful.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what
it's
happened. Yeah, so I got the admin job because I thought it was like as an administrator, I'd be given like executive judicial power over nuanced situations in the Invite division I was adminning, because the decisions have to be made and you have to have the right person for the job, and I thought I was the right person for the job.
Mhm.
But like for the 2 seasons I admin, there was like almost nothing controversial that happened. You're welcome, by the way. Nobody thanks the man who prevents the controversy. Thank you. Um, I mean, I wouldn't have quit if that was it. Like, I'm not praying for something stupid to happen.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're
But
not praying for someone's downfall, like for
but I
some drama.
gotta. Oh my god! Like demo reviews were just like the most extreme waste of my time ever.
I
Not demo reviews, but like collecting demos from
No,
admins.
yeah, I was gonna say when I was talking to you about it, it sounded like you were not really like an admin. You were more like a glorified support ticket, where it's like, oh, can you give me the
Yeah.
demo review? It's time for the demo review.
Dude,
Yippee!
the amount of like, oh my god, the disrespect. Look, I didn't really talk to too many people on the RGL staff. I pretty much only talked to Virgil because I knew Virgil. That's half the
Hmm.
reason I joined the
I
team.
mean, yeah,
I,
TF2 RGL staff. funny
And to
people.
be fair, it's like, I mean, leadership in RGL has been really mid in my opinion, especially because there's been like 3 new ones since because Sigafood got his bag and left. But
It
it's
is what it
like
is. It is what it
there's
is.
just a lot of chit chat in the RGL Discord. I'm not gonna like spoil anything, but it's just like kind of like whatever, you know. Like there's nothing that I feel I could have got really involved in. The only thing I got really involved in with Virgil was the new format that did come out. You're welcome. Except maybe if it's not that good, but you know whatever, bro. But the point is, it just my job did not feel very important, and all I did was collect demos, and it was just the most dumb thing because like there's a bunch of goofy, messy scheduling issues that would happen because invite players are doing their goofy, messy scheduling, and I'm like, whatever. But then it messes with the demo collection, and then I'm like, well, you need your demos. Uh, and then you get like these really awkward, like childish situations where it's like, all right, you don't have your demo, I'm giving you a minor. They're like, what? This is not fair. And I'm like, dude, relax, it's just a minor. And they're like, this is not fair. And I'm like, you know,
I would
this.
say if you guys are not really, kind of close to TF2 Invite players, or kind of like non TF2 Invite, some TF2 Invite players are so immature, are so like self-centered, and they're like, there's a word for this. I'm like not losing it, but they're like so. What's this called? I'm trying to think.
Egotistical,
Egotistical. It's like a synonym of egotistical.
self-absorbed,
Self-absorbed, but they're like
self-obsessed.
also that, but
I
like
don't mean to be going in like that.
no, but it's the same thing. But it's more like they think they can get anything they want because they're an invite player. You know what I'm saying? They're like they have the right to be late for the demos, have the right to do whatever they want because they play invite and they're like good at the game. You have any opinions on that works? You think invite players are like
I
children
mean,
sometimes, like
well,
children
you know,
sometimes.
here's how it is. You know, it's a complicated situation. First and
Right.
foremost, it was annoying dealing with the invite players, but it happens. It happens. I honestly would still, I wouldn't have minded staying on as admin, uh, if they automated demo collection and or added any other form of anti cheat. Because oh my god,
Yeah,
like
the
that's literally
anti-cheat.
like my only thing. Even though they might have not kept me on because I didn't like, you know, wish happy birthday to everybody every day, and you know, my division had 0 issues. So people are like, why do we even have an invite admin? Not knowing that I'm the reason there are no issues because I handle all of my shit in DMs. But anyways, I'm not tilted. Anyways,
Yeah, anyway.
no, it's the thing with invite players is like it's like a whole story, all right? It's the what I was talking about before, the jumping and all that. When you're an outsider, you look at the invite players because they're the best, and you're like, they're so cool and funny. And then you start playing the game, and they don't know you exist, and you're like, whatever, dude. And then you get a just good enough to make it into the pugs, and you play a couple games with them, and they literally treat you like you were less than human, that you are like a certain kind of human being from 200 years ago that was not white per se,
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
truly
whoa, whoa,
truly
whoa, whoa,
subhuman.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Uh, but look, the point is that it's like it's truly dehumanizing experience, and then you get to invite and you're talking to them and you get to know them a bit better, and they're normal people, and you just kind of come to know the pain of the invite player, which is like sixes is a team game, and sometimes you just want to play the game and do cool stuff. But you can't because some players on your team are just not very good and they're like dying and feeding, and then you're down players and you can't do anything when you're down players. And then, yeah, and of those players, some of them perchance lack the emotional maturity to keep that to themselves and then go off on the players, specifically by saying rude things about them as if they are not there, even though they are right there. Yeah, no, it's a
I,
mess.
I
It's a
cannot
mess.
imagine anyone being like that. Like maybe like a top invite player, man. I could never imagine someone like that.
Perchance, who knew that maybe there may be like an inverse correlation between people that made a cartoon shooter made for children for decades and the emotional maturity.
Well, it is what it is. Some people are mature, and some people like TF2.
My point is pros and cons, cultural differences, you know, be
Right, right, right.
diverse and accepting, blah blah blah. Um, it's whatever, right? Like it's
Right.
annoying. The only time I've ever been like genuinely annoyed, or like I know I'm annoyed all the time, but genuinely like upset at when like an invite player is like harassing somebody. Well, aside from like genuinely harassing them like outside the game, but you know, just talking,
Mm.
talking shit and just like making them look bad. Is that when you are an up and coming player and you're trying to find teams, like your reputation kind of matters, and like
It is like a high school.
TF2 is like the biggest circle jerk of like
Yeah.
people. If once you get a reputation in this game, like you have it forever. like people have been calling Alexandros the pencil. Not to throw a stray at Alexandros here, but here's my example.
You just went to
People
his
have been
throw.
calling Alexandros the pencil soldier for like years, and I say this because I've played with Alex the last, not like necessarily recently, but like a couple of seasons ago and this and that, and I've been watching him like since like RGL started because Alex has been playing since ESEA. Like if you've been paying attention, Alex has been getting better. Like he's been getting substantially better, but people still talk to him like he has it. And then I'll tell that to people. I'll be like, Alex has gotten like a lot better. Like his movement's better, his DM's better, like his decision making's better. And they'll be like, no, you mean pencil roast? It's like it's impossible. It's
That
impossible to
sounds
get
like
around.
someone I know, but I'm not gonna get into that.
But yeah, so that's that's where I draw the line. Is it's like if somebody's trying to be good and they're trying their best, like don't like put them down. If only because the optics are gonna like screw them out of getting on a good team, and like getting on a good team is like 100% the way you climb the TF2 ladder, because it's just such a team oriented game. You put Banny on like a low advanced team, I'm not sure they win advanced. Maybe not low. Like if you put them on a bottom advanced team, I'm not sure they win advanced, because it's crazy. It's crazy how the team factor works.
It is kind of crazy. I mean,
like you need to remember that like Froyotech has existed by like poaching the best players for like all eternity until recently. And the same time that recently they have stopped poaching the best players, they started losing. What a strange coincidence.
Okay, let's all be fair here. Banny said that was a content season. Everyone was having good content, except he didn't stream. He didn't do anything like that. He didn't upload his posts. He actually didn't do anything of content, but it was a content season. And all I'm saying is, it's TF2. It's a team player game. So if you play with your team, you're just gonna do better. But anyways, moving on. I did have this follow-up question about the admin thing, but it kind of like went away. And the question was like, would you recommend becoming an RGL admin?
No.
That's it.
I did not enjoy my time.
No.
I mean, yeah, a lot of that's because I didn't like go out of my way to talk to people, but I mean, I treated it as like kind of like a job, It's like if there were meetings that I had to attend and speak to, I would love that. But I was just doing my own thing, and my own thing was fine until I had to get so many goddamn demos.
Well, I think as an RGL admin, like people think they have like power. They have like close to no power. They're like the admins I talk. They don't really have like a lot of power. It's like the head admins that kind of dictate what to do and what to say.
Yeah,
right?
that's like it's like no spoilers, no like infringement. Not gonna get like a letter for like libel in the mail from RGL, but like you'd be you think like as the head admin of Six's Invite, I would have a lot of sway. I had like none.
Nothing.
It did not matter. Like the only reason the new format was even like pitched is because it went straight to Virgil, and Virgil was the head admin of all of Sixes, and even Virgil had to get it passed by super head admin. So it's like
it's like a super hierarchy. It's like
it is. The people at the top really do have all the power in RGL. And to be fair, for some of the people that I see they pick up on the staff, I'm like, maybe it's for the best. But it's like, I think there needs to be like a term limit or something, because they need some fresh blood in there. I swear to God.
You think they need like it cannot be like the government, right? Like you can just be like a politician for like 80 years.
There is definitely like a degree of complacency going on there that is not bueno. But then Camper tried to like dissuade the complacency by going off, and I think he took it in the wrong direction.
I'm gonna put my comment here. I did not see what was going on with Camper. Camper wrote like a whole essay, and it was like it wasn't received really well. I would say perhaps it was received really poorly. Perhaps his wording was kind of how would I say this? It wasn't the best he could do, But people said he was on the best headspace. He was making mistakes, and I would always give the benefit of the doubt to the admins, because an admin, right? They don't get paid. They do this for free.
Yeah,
they are janitors. They don't get paid. They do this for free.
But here's my position on RGL. Okay. All right? Is that because the issue with Camper is that the way RGL operates right now is that all of the players just have to do like a couple of fairly basic tasks to keep things running smooth, and most of these players fail to do these basic tasks. And so, Camper's whole like iron fist was going to be like, if you are not going to demonstrate the competence of a child, I will destroy you like a child. Or, whatever.
Kind of chat, kind of
But no,
base.
but yeah, but it's like, but here's the issue, all right? If you want to have like a legitimate like business sense, is that the people that come to RGL to play want to play Six's TF2, and everything that you make them do that is not play Six's TF2 is like bad, all right? So like record and submit demos is bad because I'm just here to play TF2. Coordinate scheduling, bad because I'm just here to play TF2. Like, and I feel like that's the kind of like the headspace that's missing from RGL sometimes. The RGL is constantly compromising on like, how can we like solve these issues with the players? And it's like, ideally, the players really shouldn't be doing anything except playing TF2. So, and to do that would require a lot of overhaul on the website. Fingers crossed that something happens ever on the website.
You know what's funny? That's going to my next question right away. Thank you, Wax, for the segue. I was gonna say, if you were head admin, let's say you were head as admin, what would you change? And
It's
I
the
put in
website.
parentheses the website.
It's just the website. It's literally the website. Like every big issue that RGL has right now is being held together with like glue and sticks that is accommodated by living human being individuals, like doing the most mundane tasks over and over again. That is like literally why computers were created. So they just need to overhaul their stuff.
To be fair, though, let's all be sure. I think when the website was created, RGL, way back in the day, I think Sigafu was the one who coded the whole thing, and I remember this correctly.
Yep.
It's Sigafu?
It was
That's
Sigafu.
great.
I think it was
Sigafu is
Sigafu.
not a programmer.
That's correct.
That's so sick.
And the reason why I remember this is because when you went to the website, he thought it was like a virus because it wasn't protected. It didn't have like
he got the HTTP, no HTTP.
no
That's so
HTTP.
good. And that's the other thing too, because everybody knows about the lore following the end of ESEA and like the competition for grassroots North American TF2, which was RGL versus Salt League, NaCl. The only reason people went to RGL is because they had a website. And I think Sigfu was completely aware of that. And that's why he literally made like the minimum viable product and just put it out there, and it was garbage. But the other league literally did not have a website. And it's like, well, that's the difference, bro.
I think the other reason why people didn't want to go to the other website was because of the Supreme Commander. I don't know. I don't think people remember that name. TSC.
I'm forgetting his. Yeah, look,
TSC.
okay, like I think he got progressively unhinged after the fall of NaCl. Personally, me thinks.
Yeah,
I think he was fine at the time, and honestly, I think he
mean,
probably could have run a decent league. Like, he has the personality for it.
his name is the Supreme Commander.
Respect,
I don't know.
respect.
I don't know. It's like going on a new league and your name is like. I can only think like main further, like fucking like a Hitler reference or something like that.
Fair enough, fair enough. But on the other hand, I'm pretty sure that dude was a programmer, and we are now living with the consequences of a website made by a YouTube comedian.
Okay,
no disrespect to Sigafu.
Sigafu
Sigafu is actually when the small window of time where he was still leading RGL and I was the admin. He was like the goated leader, the TGL.
I would say Sigafu, if he didn't play TF2, if he didn't become the best engineer player ever existent, he could have been the next Dave Chappelle. He could have been the next Dave Chappelle. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. What about the config? This is like a separate question I kind of wanted to ask. Opinions on the new config, even though you didn't play Invite.
Let me get some new water soon. Here's the thing with the there's like the config and there's a format, right? So I mean, the config, first of all, the 4-minute round timer is like by far the best thing that's ever happened. Like that's the kind of change that you make that like, yeah, give it like one more year and I think people forget that 10 minutes was even a thing.
Yeah, probably.
Like it just feels so natural.
It feels way better. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it honestly puts away some of my toxic thoughts because I remember when I was a toxic player coming up in the leagues, I loved getting into stalemates on last where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to push out. If you guys can't break this in 10 minutes, we're going back to mid. I don't care. And you're just sitting there for 10 minutes. And I have reset so many holds waiting 10 minutes. So, yeah, no, it's so good for the game that the round timer has been reduced to 4 minutes. And I think 4 minutes is the sweet spot because you get 3 like decent plays onto the other team before you have to actually commit, or sometimes only 2 plays if you're like really talking it out and slow. It punishes you for being unprepared, which is probably the best thing. when it comes to like maintaining competitive integrity, because you kind
Mhm.
of have to go into the game with game plans, otherwise you get punished on time. But round timer is great. Banning config with like the 1/2 thing is the pros and cons. Like the biggest con is I do really miss half times.
I do miss half
I
times.
was very much a halftime player.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
like
you miss out on so many legendary matches where you're losing at the half, then you make the adaptation after like a 10-minute long team top where you're just buffing everybody up, and then you go into the second half and you roll it back.
I agree. I have so many matches where everyone's just like, dude, we fucking lost, man. It's over. It's over. We go into halftime. We talked about it. We like actually get some confidence. We start playing confident, and just like that, we win the game. But not
Yeah.
anymore. I loved it. It was like a good story. It was like a good story to tell. But I get people don't want to play for that long TF2.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Logistically, the banning conflict does solve like the biggest issue that TF2's always had, which is like the games just run way too damn long. Especially when they start running into best of threes and best of fives. Like they just go on way too damn long.
You remember that one ESEA season? They stopped playing the game
I like
5 a.m.
5 I think I went to
Jesus.
bed on Granary. I think I went to bed on Granary when like the team got like the match reset or something. I was like, this is never
This
ending.
is yeah. This is like not
Froyo versus
possible, man.
Ascent, right?
Yeah, it was Froyotech
Yeah.
versus Aslan. It was crazy, but yeah. What about the G6? Or I could say maybe bot mod, league format. Any opinions on that?
Uh, um, I mean, I didn't play it, so I can't say. It's just one of those things where like from the viewer POV. Once again, like I don't watch a ton of TF2 unless I just like know the players because I just
Mhm.
want to cheer for them or pray on their downfall.
Sure.
Uh, Playing like 3 or 4 best of threes in like a single week seems like AIDS. I would
I
not want to play that season if I had to
from
play that much TF2.
from what I talk to people, they're like, yeah, it seems like from a spectator, it's like, yeah, more TF2, but as a player, it's like, oh, more TF2. Oh, I don't know, like,
And you know, it's one of the things where it's like, the low invite players always want to play more, and the top invite players always want to play less. But it's like, I don't think anybody wants to play that many best of threes like
yeah,
back to back. Like that's so much.
that's too much. I
And
would say
then yeah,
I would say it also create more problems because it's like, what's the point of you of like the preseason? Like the preseason actually did not matter at all because like you could, hypothetically speaking, right? Hypothetically speaking, you could have Froyo lose every match if they wanted to. They could just throw every match if they wanted to. But before playoffs start, when playoffs started, you could just go back and win it all,
run it back. I mean, to
run it
be
back.
fair, I don't think that's like a super big issue. Like, if anything, that's like a power move. You know, like you could do that in any format where it's like, let's just throw like the first 3 rounds and then bring it back.
But that's what I'm saying. No, it's not like the 3 rounds. I'm talking about the whole last season. You could just like no, you like the eighth team could have won the whole season. That's what I'm saying here.
Yeah, no,
It's
there's
like
definitely a question of like if the seeding matches like really mattered. It would come down to if you really valued seeding. And like I mean, the biggest issue of this season was, in my opinion, because I think the biggest issues have to do with the player experience, and
mhm.
that's why I'm not going to say it that much because I feel like you have to be a player to speak on
I
that.
I agree. I agree.
But
We didn't
the
play, so we didn't know.
the biggest issue from the viewer experience is that like, and what was the reason I wanted to push it forward because I was like on the panel when they were like, yeah, sure, let's do it, was like it'd be exciting to see some upsets, you know? And you're always like pitching the same teams against the same teams that are like close in power, and it could go either way. And then like it could flip flop, it could change, and you could spin the narrative. And it didn't happen, and it's so sad that there were like no upsets this season because it actually becomes like so kind of boring when there are no upsets that you were seeing the same teams play each other and lose and lose and lose. You know, like at some point, it's like I would rather see like Vanny stomp a bottom invite team just to see what that's like.
Mhm. I mean,
Because I'm just so bored of like the same low invite teams playing the same kind of close matches, but the same team wins every time.
yeah, I would see. Um,
I mean, you know, if anything, I
mm,
think it's kind of slept on that like maybe the viewers want a blood. I would love to watch a team get rolled by Froyotech again.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe all the Froyo bandits are like, yes, Bandy, get Rompio out of here. Let's go. No, I don't think so. But I would say it's just I don't know the format. I don't have any skin on the race, right? But I would have loved if people would thought up more the format before they like tried it out. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the way with people pitching things. It's like this is the responsible way to deal with change is you imagine what the worst outcome of the change could be and you have contingencies for it. But the way so much of the change is pitched in RGL and, you know, the Invite Illuminati and all that is people are like, what if we did this? And like, imagine all the cool things that could happen. And nobody wants to be the adult in the room to be like, what's the worst thing that could happen? It's like, that would never happen.
I feel like some people in RGL, I don't want to say this, but like they have this mentality that if you give 1,000 monkeys like the typewriter, they're gonna write Shakespeare maybe one day. That's the mentality for some changes. It's like, what if we just keep throwing shit at the wall and let's see who sticks or what
all
sticks?
I'm saying, and to your point, right, is that I'll follow your analogy there. Is I feel like there's a lot of players making suggestions, and their theory is we're just gonna keep throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks, because they know that they're not the player cleaning the shit up the wall at the end of the discussion, because that's what the admins do. So you got all this shit on the wall, and then you're like, all right, let's see if any of it sticks, and none of it shits. It's just shit everywhere. And guess what? And then the bot mode circle jerk, they don't even play the season.
Okay, that's the funniest thing. It's like we made our RGL play our format. They change it, and now we don't even play.
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw shade at them unnecessarily, but I just want to say that I called it. I literally called it. I said, like, you guys are gonna push for a change, and you're not gonna give a shit if it works or not, because it does not matter to you. You're not gonna play. And then they didn't play.
I would say there's some people that did play TF. Like I talked to some people from that circle check that did play TF2 too much, and maybe they wanted a break, which is fine, right? You can have breaks, right?
Taking breaks is fine.
But don't like threat the whole league. Like that's not a good thing. Like if you have a circle check and you're like, this team or these two teams are not gonna play if you don't do this, and they don't play after they did this.
It is so funny. It's just so funny how they did that. It's like you
dude,
really did that. You really basically threatened that you would only play if this happened, and you still didn't. Like that is actually just Chad. That is like at that point, I just respect it. That's crazy. Like it's actually the amount of like what's the word for that? Like it's like, oh my god.
They had their own cake and they ate it all.
It's like so deeply disrespectful to everybody on staff to do that. It is impressive.
But we will see if they come back. Or maybe, I don't know, next season, but who cares? I would say this next question is kind of interesting. It's kind of not really related to this, but this is more like a what would you do kind of scenario. So the question I'm going to ask you is, do you think TF2 can grow? And if yes, this is all caps, and if yes, how would you help it grow?
And this is where I mentioned the highest peak player base summer 2023.
I mean, I would say this more context. I think our TF2 comp, like the people, the population, 0.001% of the actual TF2 population. We have 2,000 people here.
So I mean, the actionable things that we can do is it's just social media presence and just making the game more watchable.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, like so many resources should be getting put into STV tools and like strategies.
It's kind of hard,
in my opinion. I think it is very hard actually. I don't even know. Like you need to know like I don't even know what kind of coding. Like is there like an STV language or what?
I would say it has been getting easier and easier thanks to people with casting extensions and all that stuff. But also, Valve is making some progress. They're giving, I forgot what it was, but like they're giving more tools, maybe not for STP, but like custom mods as well. They have given like, I don't know if you saw this, you can play CSGO gun game in TF2 with all the animations in CSGO.
That's pretty sick.
And it's because they added like, it's out of my mind, but they added like more support to that. And you know, they keep adding stuff every once in a while, which is fine. But like, I do agree if the game wants to become more popular, it needs to be easier to watch. It has to be like, I guess the best counterpart, Smash. It has to be like, I think if you watch Smash, if you're not like a really super Smash person, super melee person, if you see one melee game, you already know what's gonna happen. You already know what's happening here. You know, the guy.
It's easy to watch, and you're like, even if you don't know what's happening exactly on screen, like you don't know what a wave dash is or spot dodge or this or that, whatever, you can still just kind of like tell when something cool is happening.
Yeah.
Then you leave it up to the player base to produce cool things.
TF2 has air shots, and all air shots have always been good. They have
It
always been
is.
like the bread and butter of
It is
TF2.
the
Air
highlight, the
shots,
bread and butter highlight.
drops, 4Ks, 5Ks, that's good. But there's always so much in between that's like, this player is fitting where he went for a play and he, like it's like all stuff like that.
So yeah, so it's like, so yeah, just making, but I really emphasize like camera work tools because like we're actually in a pretty decent state with casters right now. I think there was a dry spot before Jarrett where the casters were all kind of mid. Casting is in a pretty decent state right now. TC Mana is also
I
pretty
was gonna
sick
say
right now.
TC Mana. I kind of like TC Mana.
Yeah, no, we're in a decent place with casters. I just think camera work can always be improved. And I honestly, like I don't know. I know Jay here does it, and it's like I'm pretty sure it's like playing an instrument. This stuff you gotta do. So it's like they just gotta make it better.
Playing like an instrument, you want to like
Literally playing piano. But no, it's that's for watching it. And then for making the game accessible, it's like RGL pugs, but like literally just make like a TF2 center for RGL, like unironically. Like you just like first come, first serve. You can make your own lobbies with your own restrictions so that way people know what they're getting themselves into. But literally, like for new players to get into the game, you need first come, first serve. Like it's so easy to forget that as like a high level player. Like that it's like, get picked, captaining, fat kids. But like if you want to play the game as a new player and if you want an accessible system, you need first come, first serve. So yeah, they should add some sort of TF2 centerism to RGL pugs and popularize that.
I mean, I would say TF2 doesn't understand.
I mean, yeah, basically, right? And I just think TF2 Center got so many people into the game. And then even before that, people play TF2 Lobby. So it's like, you just need a system like that. And like, RGL pugs are totally skin and bones right now.
Well,
so it's
they
whatever.
do exist. They do exist. There's RGL pugs on the website. There's also.
But I still maintain, like, I mean, I don't even really know how they work because I see there's one that's like, like 6 is captain and 6 is like not captain. I don't know if the 6 is not captain is like TF2 Center type RNG.
It's like, like how PogChamp and MixChamp work. It's basically the same thing. Captain, you have PogChamp. You have a captain that, picks your team basically. And then no captain, it's just MixChamp, which is RNG, and it's like whatever the elo, whoever has the biggest elo kind of gets big on the team. I think that's how it goes.
Or like the face it style. But I even still like it's just not as good. I think honestly by far the most accessible form was always TF2 Center because you just add up to the role you want. Like you just know exactly what you're getting into. You're not gonna get like egoed out when you join the server and it's like, I want to play Scout, and it's like, I'm playing Scout. It's like, who's on medic? Nobody wants to play medic. And it's like, all right, you're gonna make me play medic, I'm throwing. Or blah 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 blah. So I just think first come, first serve with decided rules. Be nice. And then just to put a pin in the question, I guess, is like, the elephant in the room is that the not so actionable way to get TF2 to grow is always just going to be money. Like TF2 could become like a world-class esport overnight if somebody just dropped like $100,000 on an international cup.
Okay,
but nobody will ever do that.
Who do you think is gonna? You think like a prince from Saudi Arabia is like, oh yes, I love TF2. Let me drop like $1 zillion tournament.
But that's it. I mean, that's just the simple answer because people go where the money is. Like, if somebody says there's an international $100,000 cup on an ancient children's video game, like news websites will pick that up. People will watch it just to make fun of it. Like, you will just get viewership, and then then the game is good, so it will retain some of it because it is good, especially if you have good camera work and good setup and all that stuff.
I see the
it's just like there's
math,
it just needs money. It just needs money. It's like that's how these niche communities always are. Is that if they have enough money, they can work. Even though like I can't say out the authority because I know enough about esports to know that like esports is a money losing machine. But
they are.
If the other companies can do it, like surely a game as good as TF2 deserves it, right? Like, yeah, sure, if you plug like millions of dollars into making an awful game in esport, you're gonna lose millions of dollars because even though the game looks successful, it's shit. Like this is an actually good game. But I digress.
I think a lot of the problems also comes that people think TF2 is a casual game. Even the casual players is like, competitive, ew. I don't want to play that. People are tryharding what I could be the friendly booties. But yeah,
I feel like I don't know. That's like
no, you'd be surprised.
I'm so far removed from that sphere now. I kind of know what that used to be like back when I was starting the game, but that's just like cultural zeitgeist, Like that would be like the same energy of like I just want to play like Super Smash Bros. Melee as like a party game, but like all these people are taking it so seriously.
Some people, there are people like that.
And it's just like you just need to know how to like put it into categories. Like, yeah, you can have fun, and then other people can take it seriously. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
The room is big enough for two of us.
I agree. I agree. However, enough about TF2. Enough about this. Enough about that. Admin career anyway works. You as a player have done so many things, right?
Of course.
What else are you gonna do? You played, you casted, you admin. What's in the future? What's in the future for Walrex? Walter Gaming. What's in the future for you?
I don't know. Depends.
Depends.
Depends on time commitment and what I can do. Like I said, if I get enough time and motivation, maybe I'll make some resources, because that would probably be the most like meaningful thing I could do in the game recently.
Mm-hmm.
Might return to Invite. It's not looking good this season, mostly because I'm going to be away for most of the preseason, and no sane person would pick me up without 2 weeks of play.
You
All
are
the,
going. Yeah, you're going to your
yeah,
hometown. Yeah, so
I'm gone for the preseason, so it's going to be tough. I would have liked to play Scout, even though it's not looking great, because
I would say your scout
yeah,
experimental,
haters be
to
like,
say the least.
I just want
Lot
to,
of
Soldier's a low impact role. I just want to move to a high impact role. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
fair. That's fair. That's fair, right?
But yeah, no. So I mean, yeah. As far as what I'm doing, the cards aren't really aligning for playing, but I am making an effort. Otherwise, yeah, maybe we do little resources. I'll be around. I'm not ditching the community yet.
You're not gonna like pull up your hat yet. You still have some time.
As long as I have time. But the
As long
time is fleeting. But I do have time.
you do have a job coming up soon. I think next month, right? I
Yeah,
think
no,
you.
that's definitely where most of it flees
Yeah,
to.
you have like you're working at the seeking like oh, man, I was gonna say you're working at the fucking sucking dick factory. Double shit.
Whoa,
Whoa,
whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa.
but that's stupid.
Huh?
That's
They're
stupid.
not hiring.
That is
You
stupid.
took all the position.
That is so stupid. Anyway, this is the last question I have for you about your TF2 career. Right? You think about your
Hmm.
TF2 career as a whole spectrum. If you could change anything, what would you change?
Change. Just like magically,
Like if you had the chance, if you
change.
had the chance, yeah, you could go like to a machine and be like, hey, it's a time machine. I'm gonna change not playing for this team, or I'm gonna change not playing TF2 at all. If you could change
Um,
anything of your TF2 career, could be anything. What would it be?
give me a minute. Let me cook.
Yeah, you could think about it. It's a pretty. I think it's a pretty broad question.
Yeah, in the TF2 career, I mean, it's like I don't know. I've pretty much
10 years.
enjoyed. Yeah, like as long as I've played the game, I've enjoyed it. I've never really felt it to be a big waste of time. Like, maybe I would change the fact that like while I was on my come up and being a real egotist, to maybe be a little less toxic to some players, because I definitely had a toxic arc where I was very mean to a
You
lot of
you
people.
you did not finish it. That toxic work is still going on. Yeah, I've seen it.
People think I'm still toxic. Don't this is the tip. Yeah, it could be pretty bad.
It could
And
get
that's
pretty bad.
usually that's usually where my regrets go. If I treated somebody poorly, then, they usually don't deserve it. And
You
yeah,
wanna you wanna just apologize to them, be
I
like, I'm
do.
sorry.
This is especially, yeah. I'll use this as the public apology, because it's everybody hates the invite player, where it's like I'm playing the game and I like the game and I'm finally good enough to play in the invite pose. This guy's being a real asshole to me. I've been that guy sometimes.
You definitely have.
I have been that guy. I would public if you've ever been like, if I've ever treated you like shit in a pug in a way that made you feel like inferior, or if I was trying to assert myself, I apologize. I was having a bad day.
Okay.
But yeah, I do sincerely apologize. That is like the shittiest behavior. That does make people want to quit the game.
I would say this is not my interview, but like me personally, I kinda agree. I think I have some bad times on Pogs where I'm a bit of an asshole. Perhaps, sometimes I see some players who just wanna pop some of my veins, some of my brain veins, and there's like doing something so annoying. And I perhaps say horrible stuff to them. So, I get it. But anyways, that's it. I don't have any more questions. That's it. That's it for me.
Respect.
You have any shout outs to give, Warwick? You have anything you want to say?
And that's the normal Shout outs to you. Shout outs to Crondrome. I mean, that's a whole big arc that we didn't really go into, but
I mean,
the crew, the homies, the only real reason I still play the game because I know them, and if I didn't know people in this game, I would not still be playing it after so long.
I would say TF2. If there's any new TF2 players or whatever, get some friends, man. Get some friends to
It's
play with
so
it.
you need it.
You actually
You need friends in this game because your teammates are not gonna do it.
Yeah, I would say I've known Nuki since I started playing TF2 competitive, and that was fucking, I don't know, dude, 8 years ago, maybe. And I still talk to the guy. Me and Nuki, one of the stupidest people I know, and one of the funniest people I
He is
know.
the goat.
He is the goat. Actually, Ali, the stupidest person I know. I will change my mind. Ali's the stupidest person I know.
This is a highly competitive environment in
It's
there.
a highly competitive environment in the Mumble. But anyways, any more shoutouts you want to say?
That's the big one. Like, I'd also like shout out like pretty much anybody I played on a team with
Okay.
because you either were a pleasant person to be around and or you put up with me being very rude to you until I made you quit. So it's like respect,
That's a big spectrum. That is a huge spectrum.
respect. No, yeah, shout out to anybody who's played on a team with me because that is why we play.
Okay, I will give a shout out to you as well. Shout out to obviously our production person Jay here. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to all my friends, all my people I play, all the people I play as well. Shout out to all the real ones. Shout out to all the people that like send messages about like the most random stuff, and like it doesn't even matter, but it's like funny.
Oh, and I should give a shout out to all the. If this is like the life and times of me, also a big shout out to all the jumper fellows from the past. If
Even
you
though,
know.
even though they cyberbullied you.
The jumper fellows were cool.
Oh, never mind, never mind.
No, not those guys. No, fuck Top Time. Those guys can die. But
Whoa, 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 whoa,
I
whoa,
take
whoa.
that back. I take that back.
Okay, okay.
Look, it's
There's a
different
whole
because I was like 15 and they were all like 18 and 19, so it was like they were adults. Most of them are probably pushing like 30 now, which is crazy. I hope you all have kids, families. No, it's
And
but those guys, no, they don't get a shout out. No,
Okay.
I don't. We're not cool like that.
Okay,
Shout out to
that's
the
fine.
actual jumpers that know who they are. BBHOD, run it back.
See,
Rest in peace, RPC, for real.
on the
Yeah,
race car.
yeah. No, it's RPC. If you know, you know.
Oh, this is someone else. Well,
Yeah, it's somebody else.
GG's. Well, you cut me off. Yeah, shouts to everyone. I think everyone, like I know everyone I talk to, everyone who like made a joke made me laugh. I think that's like one of the funny. That's one of like the best things you could do. Just make a joke, make people laugh. But anyways, that's it from me. Um, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye. Goodbye. That's it. I don't know.
Respect.